local school options were very suitable for us. You know, we weren't real happy with, you know, the public school, and kind of wanted a more democratic education for our son, who was 5 when we made this decision. Well, we started thinking about it when he was 4, and there wasn't anything like that. It was just traditional public school, and we, you know, had been working with him in the home, parenting style, in a democratic way, and just, you know, we were really interested in preserving his love of learning, which we were worried would not be preserved in a traditional setting. And he, you know, was an early reader. He loved to read. He was excited about everything, and so we wanted to preserve that. So the combination of being kind of far out, we lived 3 miles off the blacktop on the side of a mountain, and you know, wanting to preserve his love of learning and have a democratic education. So those were the main factors that went into it. And there happened to be a local family homeschooling who could help us get started, and that was a real important factor for us. Well, we felt like homeschooling gave him a better socialization, because we could set things up that really supported our values and our principles as a family, and pursue friendships and relationships that were compatible with that. So that really worked well for us. Well, my daughter, who's 4 years younger, had been at Montessori since she was 4. And the reason she was there is that she was a very different child, and very imaginative, very active, on the go all the time. And my husband he travels a lot with his job, so it was really me trying to keep the pace with her. And she's outside the box, so she's always thinking up some other scheme or some other big idea that involved, you know, lots of stuff. So, and it just got really hard. I was trying to pursue part-time my own work too, and my son's temperament fit well in with mine, and we were able to flow well together, but Elizabeth and I weren't. It just took a lot more vigilance and a lot more. So if we were in a community of people homeschooling, it would have been great, but it just didn't work well doing it in a more isolated way with her. So I found Montessori, which at her age, the emphasis was on very sensorial, very imaginative, artistic things, and so it was perfect for her. And then she stayed because it worked so well. And then I put Alex in the 4th grade because I was I saw that it worked really well for Elizabeth. I got to know the Montessori community well, and I wanted to pursue some of my own professional interests. And I had a lot of other things going on too that were making it difficult for me to also spend the day with him. And it was a hard transition for him, even though I knew he was going into a really wonderful place. To go from an unschooling style where your time is your own, you do what you want when you want, to this more structured style, even though there was a lot of freedom within the structure. He had to get up 5 days a week, be at school at 8:30, and as he would say, and stay for 6 hours. And that was very hard for him. And it took a good 3 months for him to really adjust to that. I already was doing that with Elizabeth. So, and by the time he started, I'd been doing it with her for 2 years. So, but it's still hard. I don't think it fits the children's natural rhythm to have to get up so early and, you know, get up and then be in this regimented mode where you get up, you eat breakfast, you know, you brush your teeth, you brush your hair, and you're out the door. You know, they still fight that. And it doesn't fit me very well either. As a family, we like to kind of wake up slowly and flow, ease into the day. So I don't think that will ever be easy. So that's definitely a downside. I think mostly it's just being able to get out and run around in the fresh air and move more, because even though they don't have desks or they're sitting down all day, it's not like you can go out and just move freely. But then there were other times where my younger child particularly was irritable, and I think it's because she needs even more than my son to be in control of her day. And even in a setting like Montessori, there's limited. You can't just do what you want when you want to. And so that would sometimes frustrate her, and she'd be really irritable. So I still say the ideal for us would be, to be in a community of like-minded homeschoolers where we're creating our own experiences as a community. And it could be a type of school, or where everyone contributes according to their skills and interests, or just doing it cooperatively. In a way, not as much as I would like. And some parents were happy with that because they thought, well, this is a healthy place for my child, so I'll drop them off and then, I'll pick them up at the end of the day. But I like to know more about what's going on, and to sort of be a fly on the wall and observing and having input if I see adjustments that might need to be made. And this particular school wasn't really in favor of that, and so that was an issue with us and some of the other parents. So we're looking at a situation now, a different place that's really asking for input from parents. Well, I am moving back into working. I've been working, minimally, and I'm now looking at picking up more, which is what I want to be doing. So in some ways, if the school works out as well as we hope it will, and we feel good about them being there and they're happy being there, and based on the mutual respect model and learning at your own pace and following your passions, if it really does work out well and I'm able to pursue my passions, then to me that's the perfect situation. Usually if someone would ask me, why are you homeschooling Alex and not Elizabeth, then if I gave that explanation that her activity level and her imagination and all that was more than I could handle. Now, if my husband were home a lot, it would have been easier, because one could be off with her doing a variety of things while the other one was with Alex reading, which is what he liked to do. So their personalities were very different from the beginning, and it was clear that we were going to work with them very differently. And then anybody who knew Elizabeth, her nickname was Busy Beth, so once they were around her a few minutes, they could see that it was she was a very different child, and that the challenges would be greater as homeschooling parents with her. I just feel very fortunate that there are choices, because I think my son would survive okay in a public school setting. I don't think he'd maintain his love of learning, but he would do okay, just like many of the rest of us have. I don't think my daughter would. I don't think it would work for her, and I feel very fortunate that I have options, because otherwise my life would be a lot more stressful, worrying about her and how she was doing, and so I think it's real important that we do, and that all those options get supported by our society, because children are so different and their needs are so different, and what works for one may not for the other.
You say if I wander too far, bring me back on track.